Hey there, hey friends, Ken here, your Thrifty Apprentice. Happy Wednesday. And in today's video, friends, I am hoping we're going to have a little fun. This is going to be a kind of kick back, relax, and just kind of enjoy the video as we take a look at a very cute watercolor travel palette and sketchbook that was sent to me by one of you wonderful, big-hearted people who support the thrifty community, and I could not be more grateful. Now this actually came in a care package that was packaged with a lot of other things, and it came with a note in it, which I've read the note several times. And inside that gift package was this little cute wooden palette and some of the things in there anyway was this little cute wooden palette and two little mini sketchbooks. One of them is a Hahnemuhle or Hahnemuhle, however you want to pronounce it, accordion style little sketchbook. And the other one is actually from the same company that does the palette, which is called GoDraw. It is a little wooden palette. Now, of course, I've used some similar to this before, but never one this small. When I initially got all of this, I will say that it has some magnets that were not positioned right. So I did take a little glue in order to fix that so that we can get around to doing this video. But if you pull it apart, as you'll see, you have this very cute little wooden mixing palette that has, let me see, 4, 8, 12, 13, 15 little mini, almost dot card size wheels in it, a little area over here for mixing. Now, there was not like a clamp or anything that came with it, but that's fine. And then there is this cute little yellow watercolor sketchbook, but it's so tiny. Look at that. I've never painted, I don't think I've ever painted anything this small. So basically what I'm going to do in this video is just kind of play around with this. We are going to pan up some watercolors inside our little travel palette, and then I'm probably going to do an illustration with you guys both inside the GoDraw as well as the Hahnemuhle accordion book. And then once everything is said and done, I will just kind of give you an opinion on the little palette. May even take it outside to paint. So I went digging through my watercolor tube stash to find some paints to put in this little palette. I wanted to definitely find one that I don't have a palette made up of my own. Now this is the pretty excellent 36 tube watercolor set. This is a artist grade watercolor made by Milling, the same, and Milling is produced by the same company that produces Paul Rubens. Just to kind of put your mind in the ballpark of where the paints come from. Now, most of you may have already tried the Milling pretty excellent paints. They initially started out in a 36 molded tray, then they molded palette, then they ended up moving to I think like a 52 half pan, and then they eventually put the 36 molded tray in the half pans. But this is the tubes. Now, I'll be honest, I have noticed a slight difference between the tube formula and the half pan formula, but not one that's so dramatic that I would say I don't like the tubes. Now, I do think that company and Paul Rubens overall make some better student grade paints than the tube version of the pretty excellent, but this is what I'm going to be putting in here, and they're going to work just fine. So basically I need 15 colors to test out. So I'm going to kind of go through this, pick out the... My friends, as we move into the panning section, I'm really just going to throw some music on. This is going to be really quick. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I've divided the colors that I picked out of the 36 tubes, which was 15 different tubes. I put them in rainbow order, and then I put each color hue in order from cool to warm so that I can set this palette up like I do most of the other ones. I'm going to be putting a dot size paint dot or enough paint, just like dot size, in each of the wheels. I'm going to give it a minute to dry down, which will probably be overnight, and then I'm going to jump into a painting demo with the set just to see how it would work with the GoDraw sketchbook that came along, as well as the Hahnemuhle accordion little travel sketchbook. Now, I am going to be doing those based on traveling or plein air painting, although it will be from the studio. So I'll let this part of the video go ahead and play out, and then we'll jump into a demo directly behind this. So as we jump into the painting demo, friends, I will let you know that I did give those paints a little over 24 hours to dry down in that little wooden travel palette before I attempted to paint from them, simply because I like to paint from dried down paints. Now I'm starting off in the little GoDraw sketchbook. I'm not sure if this is 100% cotton or not, but it is a pretty decent little paper. I think this book is 2x2 if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sketching in a little macaron. It's a really small page, so I just wanted a small little image that I can tackle just to kind of try the paper out. And I sketched in a little macaron. You can always use the video player to slow down the video if you need to in order to follow along with that little drawing, but it's really easy. An oval divided up into 3 sections, giving it a little hamburger shape. And then I'm going in and I'm going to start doing some painting. Now, I started off using a water brush simply because I was thinking along the lines of this would be in a travel bag. More than likely, I would be using a water brush to paint with, but that little brush was feeding too much water for me to really control it the way I wanted to. So I switched over to a golden Tecline brush, and I'm going in between the colors of lemon yellow. I want to say it is a cad yellow and a cad orange, between those 3 colors, and I'm going to use it to just kind of shade in my macaron here, starting off with the lemon yellow as the first layer, giving it time to dry. That being the lightest layer, going back in with a warmer, or should I say a cooler orange, a little bit more golden leaning, cooler yellow that's a little bit more golden leaning. And then I'm doing the shadows with the actual cad orange. And I just kept going back and forth until I got the shape of a macaron. Nothing too complicated at all. I'm going to mix a little bit of a gray color here in order to paint in the cream section of that macaron. And I'm using a really light watery gray. Once it dries, it's still going to give you the impression that that is white. Then I mixed up a little bit more gray, and I'm using it to put in the shadows around the cakey textury part of the macaron. And then I'm going to go back in again with the darker yellow and kind of put it over that gray. Just again, a very quick little sketch to put in a macaron. Here I'm throwing in a really kind of watery, shadowy, light gray surface. And then I'm taking that same gray mixture in a little bit of a heavier consistency and going back in order to paint the shadow under the macaron to ground it to the paper. That way it won't look like it's just kind of floating in the air. And that pretty much is going to wrap it up. Just something really quick to get a really good feel for how the paper itself worked, which I would have to say, I believe that paper in that little GoDraw sketchbook is really good. I'm still not sure if it's 100% cotton, but good nonetheless. So next I switched over to trying out the little Hahnemuhle zigzags accordion fold sketchbook. I'm pretty sure that this one is 100% cellulose, but still not a bad student grade paper or artist grade paper to paint on. Now I pulled up a reference photo on this site called mapcrunch.com, and if you caught this past Monday's live, then you got a chance to be introduced to that website, and I showed you how I use it, sort of like using Google Maps in order to find landscape reference photos to paint. And we painted from that Map Crunch site during this past Monday's live. So be sure to go back and check that out. And I'm using that same site in order to paint this little landscape. So I found something on mapcrunch.com that I kind of wanted to paint. And from that reference photo, which of course, when I use a reference photo, I do change it up just a bit to make it my own, but I still use the reference photo as a guide. Sketched out a few lines in order to have some guidelines to go from with the landscape. And now I'm using that exact same brush that I eventually switched over to paint the macaron with in order to paint in this little landscape. Now the colors I'm using here are, let's see, burnt sienna. I'm going to be using a little Van Dyke brown. I'm using a little sap green, but in this set, I think it's called tree green in the Pretty Excellent set, whether you're using the tubes or the pans. And of course, you can use whatever paints that you want to if you would like to practice on any one of these little very quick sketches. I think both of them in combination may have taken me about 15 minutes to do both, so nothing too serious at all. Now here I'm mixing a burnt sienna, a little Van Dyke brown, and ultramarine blue in order to paint in the mountains. And this is a snow-capped mountain, so I'm actually going to paint around the white in the paper in order to do my snow instead of going back in with like a white gel pen with bleed proof or like an acrylic paint pen. I'm just going to really use the white of the paper. And I'm kind of approaching this the exact same way I would be approaching a painting if I was out and about trying to paint it. You know, I'm painting quick just to capture the essence of the overall landscape feel, because when you're out in the field painting, the lighting could shift. So a really good idea is to kind of snap a photo of what you're painting before you get started, just so you can refer back to that as well. And here I put the camera that I'm using for Map Crunch on the screen so you could see the reference photo that I'm actually painting from. And I'm going back and darkening in the parts of that mountain that would be the most rocky of the texture. And as you can see, the white of the paper served really well as the snow on those mountains. It was really quick, it was really fun, and it gave me a really good idea of how this paper would work. I would say that the paper inside both the GoDraw sketchbook as well as this Hahnemuhle little zigzag sketchbook are actually both pretty decent quality, and I wouldn't have any issues painting on them. Here, I'm putting in the little grassy texture that's around the little gravelly, rocky road here. And that's a combination of using tree green mixed with burnt sienna, tree green mixed with ultramarine blue, just to get different shades of green in order to put down the texture on that landscape, just to emulate those little grassy patches that you would see along the side of the reference photo. Again, here, not trying to copy it exactly, but just trying to capture the essence of the overall landscape really quickly. And then I'm going to splatter down some paint here in order to give the little gravelly, rocky texture that would be on that gravel road before I jump into painting the landscape. So definitely I'm going to give both the papers in these little sketchbooks both a thumbs up, and I could see myself painting on these with ease in the field and them not causing me any issues. To wrap this one up, I'm going to throw in the sky at this point, which I typically do first, but I did everything in reverse for this landscape. And I started with a lighter blue. I think I started with ultramarine, really watered down, but it wasn't giving me the color that I felt like I was seeing in the reference photo. So I mixed a little burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown into that ultramarine blue. And then I'm going to go back in and gray that sky out quite a bit as I kind of hem and haw here in order to get the feel that I wanted. Once I get that gray in, I'm going to blend it out, and you'll see that it gives me a sort of a gray blue feel in the sky, which is closer to what you see in the reference photo. And then I'm going to take a napkin and just dab those clouds out for texture, and that wraps that up, friends. And I'm going to see you guys on the other side of this when I get into just giving you my overall thoughts of both the GoDraw palette, the GoDraw sketchbook, as well as this little Hahnemuhle zigzag sketchbook. Just putting in some few finishing details. And yeah, I really enjoyed these quick little paintings. Definitely give them a try, my friends. Definitely give them a try. All right, so I played around for a little bit and got a little experience with the palette. This is not, you know, anything like super spectacular, but I painted a little landscape in the Hahnemuhle zigzag sketchbook. Took up 2 pages. It's not really that big, but it is a cute little design. And for what it's worth, the paper inside there is actually pretty decent. I didn't have any problems painting on it at all. And I think it's a cute little design and a little sketchbook. I would actually like a bigger one of these. More than likely, I'll just make one, put one together with Hahnemuhle paper. The first thing I painted though was in the GoDraw little book itself, which is actually put together really well by Art Studio Inkberry. It says GoDraw on the front, and it's quite a few little pages in there. The watercolor paper in it is decent as well. I need to find it on the website so I can tell you whether or not it's 100% cotton, but it definitely painted like it was some type of cotton blend. I was actually pretty surprised. And one side of it is kind of rough, and the other side of it is smooth, more like a hot press. So not too bad at all. As far as the little palette is concerned, it's not bad. It's mini, teeny, tiny, and that may be what you need or what you're looking for if you decide, I mean, you know, you're painting on the go, you're out and about. You just need something that's gonna carry a little watercolor paint here and there. You can get several different paintings out of this one little fill, and it fills up to about the size of a dot that would be on a dot card actually, or at least the size I would put on a dot card for one of mine. The magnets are actually really strong. It holds together really well. No issues there. The magnets that hold the palette together itself are really strong. So that's cool. Very compact. Look at that. Very little. I think it's 2x2. It is. It's 2x2. So it is extremely small. The book is 2x2 as well, or 2.5x2. Let me see. Just a little over 2. The pages themselves will be probably 2x2. So the palette and the book are both about the same size. I don't think it's it's too bad. I really don't. Now, I went looking to see if I can find the prices. The first thing I did was I looked on Amazon, and of course there's a bunch of wooden travel palettes on there that mimic this particular one, but there's not anything that says GoDraw. So then I Googled GoDraw, and it came up on Etsy. See if I can show you right quick. So it came up on Etsy for $46.50 for this palette. I wasn't sure. Signed out of Etsy. Why is it acting that way? Continuous guess. There we go. So I don't know. $46.50 for just the little GoDraw. And this is the original painted folding palette. And they do call themselves the original designers of the little wooden folding palettes. I personally don't know that to be true, but it is definitely the claim. And I'm assuming this is their Etsy page, Britain Shop Studio. By Britain Shop Studio. Now, what does that say? Inkberry. So, I don't know if they white label the paper for the book, which they probably do, which is not a big deal. But the paper is still really decent. Now, they have 5 stars on quality, customer service, and shipping on Etsy, but there's only 7 ratings. So you would think that it would be more than that. Now, I'm going to back out of here, go back to Safari, and I found their actual website. And it's pretty straightforward. It gives you the ability to order the different palettes. Now, for the watercolor palettes, they have several different types. And I do encourage you to, it's go-draw.store. And I think this is like, they're across seas. But if you do the watercolor sets, not too far down, you're gonna run into, this item has a few days delivery time within the US. It looks like $38.95 is what it was priced at $50. Now they're charging $38.95 for it. I'm assuming you're gonna have to pay the shipping. It has a dollar sign. I don't know. They're using a comma. That might be pounds that that's in. What delivery time to other countries vary and takes from 14 to 50 days. just FYI. But like I said, this was donated to the studio, and I've been meaning to get around to review this little palette for a very long time. I've reviewed other palettes, and you know, let's just kind of compare it. Here, for instance, is a travel palette I just happen to have sitting out because I was about to put some Winsor & Newton professional paints in it that was sent by someone. And when you compare it to this little kit, this kit is much bigger. Now this has 15 little dots in it, which is 2 or 3 paintings, versus this palette, which has full pans, but there's only like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, there's 14 colors in here, but it's just a much bigger footprint, of course. But it's like comparing apples and oranges to be looking at these two anyway. Then there's, you know, there are so many different palettes out there. There's like my palette, the Defyantarts Bamboo Voyager palette. This has a much smaller footprint than my palette does. Now, of course, my palette holds 24 half pans, but that's still 15 colors. So that's not bad. I think it's so adorable and so cute. And if they consider themselves the first, I'm actually very happy to have one of the originals. Absolutely happy to still have one of the original designs around these type of wooden palettes in my possession. If I had to buy it, I'm not sure I would pay, let's see, this particular one, like I said, what was it, $38.50? Hold on, let me go back and see if I can find it. Yes, it is $38.50 for the 15. Yeah, $38.50, and that's just for the palette. If you were gonna get the book, let's see if we can find it. That's not the one. They have, it looks like they have several different, here we go. Tiny sketchbook. Okay, now it comes in 2 pieces. It's usable for watercolor, gouache, or acrylic, but it seems it comes with 2 sketchbooks for $42.95. This has to be pounds. That's still pretty expensive. And then we would have to pay shipping if you're in the US to get the particular GoDraw design, unless you're ordering it off of Etsy. Yeah, I think it's a little expensive. And it said it's on sale, $42.95. Let me see if I can convert that. Okay, so yes, it is in euros. So $42.95 for the sketchbook in euros would equate currently to $49.88 for the sketchbook. Now how much was the, let's see, how much was the palette? I can't remember, because they said the palette was on sale. Hold on, I'm backing up real quick. And this is their actual site, so, you know, these prices are coming. It was $38.95 for the palette. Okay, let me see if I can, $38.95? Yeah, friends, that is a good whopping $45.23. So $45.23. $45 for the palette, almost $50 for 2 sketchbooks, plus you would have to pay the shipping to get it to the US if you're in the US. Now, if you are across seas, then I can see this actually being, well, the shipping would be better, but I'm sure that just like here in the US, you can find, you know, you can find other brands that are more economical, not unless you're just trying to be brand specific and support it. So here's my final assessment. I love the Hahnemuhle book. It can't be that much. Hahnemuhle makes whatever the price is, it would be good. Let's see, $9.97 on Amazon for the 2x2. It's 300 GSM accordion fold sketchbook, 2x2. I'm trying to see if it says 100% cotton paper. Don't think it is. I think it's a cellulose paper. From the feels of it, it's a cellulose paper, but it is pretty decent. I think this is a cute little travel thingy, just to get some quick little sketches and paintings down when you're out on the go, especially if you're trying to record information real quick. Front, back, not bad at all. So that, I don't mind paying. I don't know if I would mind paying $10 for that. I don't think I would. I would probably just upgrade it and get the A5 zigzag sketchbook for $20 on Amazon, like, you know, or the price for any of those. You can even get the A6 for $14.41. So And then there's a 5.5 by 5.5 for $17.96. Just really depends on what you want, how you want it. But that, I think, might be worth it. There are just, if you're in the US, there are better options. If you're across seas and you want to be brand specific, I say go for it. If you want something a little bit more economical, there are going to be other options out there as well. All right, so there you have it, friends. There's my 2 cents. I didn't really say anything about the paints per se, because this video was not about looking at the paints, but it really was just about finally playing with this little palette. I think the quality is astonishing. I think the quality is really good. I love the branding behind what they're doing. It's just that because it's overseas, the international shipping added to the fact that the palette is already between $45 and $50 is the only reason I would say I probably wouldn't recommend it. But under the right circumstances, go for it. And if you wanted to just, if you're willing to spend the money, you want to give somebody a really cute gift from the original, supposedly the original, I can't prove that, the original of all the little wooden palettes, then I say go for it. So hopefully you guys found something you like about this video. You found some information interesting, or you just are good with watching what went along with the little paintings. If you did, don't forget to sprinkle a little love. Give the video a thumbs up, friends. Jump in the comment section and let me know, have you used the GoDraw palette specifically? What did you think of this video, the little paintings? Is this something that you think you would be willing to invest in? Why or why not? Jump in the comment sections. Let's start up a conversation. If you are new or returning and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, so that you will know when we go live and when we upload. Please check the video description for all of the relevant links. Check out the Defyantarts website full of information, as well as the most recommended product list, the artist wish list, all of the social sites, Patreon. Check out the Creation Station and Palm Street, where we will be having our October Palm Street sale very soon. In the meantime, remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, my friends, just keep creating.